All right, let's go ahead and get started. So thank you again to everyone joining us here today. We're really looking forward to the discussion and conversation around sales automation and how we can help your sales team, sales leaders gain better insights into opportunities, customers, market trends. Really the data points and information are endless. So looking forward to a great conversation. A couple of admin things before we get started is you all are muted. So if you do have any questions, comments, or want us to go back to any topics we touch on today, please feel free to use the chat and Q&A window, and we'll be addressing anything that comes through throughout today's discussion. To get started here, we'll get started with introductions on the panel side of the house. So Michael, I'll kick it over to you and Dokkan for a brief intro.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Michael McClure. I'm the automation delivery leader here at eCapital Advisors. I've been doing automation and RPA for about 4 years now. Actually started in industry at Anheuser-Busch, fell in love with the technology, and been helping our clients implement automation solutions for the past couple of years now. So really excited to talk about automation, tie it back to sales use cases, and share some of our customer stories. So thanks for being here. And Dokkan, I'll pass it on to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dokkan Günaydın. I'm an automation consultant at eCapital Advisors. I work closely with Michael to implement automation solutions using various tools. And I'm really excited about talking about technology and how it can impact your day-to-day life, and looking forward to discussing and how we can use automation in the sales perspective. So I'll kick it off to John.
Yeah, no, thanks so much. And John Kurth with eCapital. Been with eCapital for the last several years now, and I lead our automation go-to-market strategy and sales from a practice perspective. So partner very closely with Michael and Dokkan and the rest of the eCapital team with our clients to ensure they're successful with their automation journey. So today's discussion is definitely from the heart and something that I can relate to. So we have an action-packed agenda and topics that we'll be covering and looking at today. First, very briefly, we'll look at why automation, what's so important about it, what it is, and then dive right into some of those typical sales automation use cases that we have, as well as some sneak peeks. Just looking at the folks and industries and organization sizes we have from an attendee perspective here today, definitely recognize each organization has their unique sales process, go-to-market strategy, various industries as well, some manufacturers, others providing, professional services. So what we'll be covering today may be a little more generic and generalized, but we hope you can find the connection to your own business and sales objectives. And of course, we're happy to connect on a one-on-one basis after today as well, and dive further into your own unique specific needs. But let's jump right in. So one of the first questions we always like to ask sales leaders, our customers, is, hey, if there was a way that we could remove the least favorite hour of your sales team, your day, management's day, and replace it with the thing that empowers you, invigorates the sales team or you or the organization, would you jump at that opportunity? And having done this for the last several years across the board, Michael, Dokkan, and I have never heard anyone say, no, definitely not. I want more of the things that I hate doing, or I want to focus from a sales perspective on the things that don't help me close more sales. Of course, that's not the case. So that's really how we view the goal of automation, is to take away those tasks and things that we have to do as salespeople, sales leaders, or business leaders, and empower our employees to achieve those objectives. So from a sales perspective, of course, that's going to be closing more deals, bigger deals, more quickly, more effectively, and providing a better client experience and a healthy organization across the board. So now that we understand, what the goal is of automation, then it becomes, okay, what are we focusing on or doing in our day-to-day? What are some of these menial tasks that we have? And of course, from a sales perspective and overall business perspective, we have to be managing our team, our clients with interactions and that experience, defining the strategy of our individual territory if we're sales contributors, team strategy, business strategy. And then there's all these other things like responding to emails, or for the sales leaders and salespeople out there, entering the data and notes into the CRM is always a fun one and something that's often forgotten. Analyzing different data sets, whether it's industry trends, customer data, really the list goes on and on. And if we can look at those tasks that are highly repetitive, not thought-provoking, not necessarily helping our sellers close more deals more quickly, and we can automate that, improve communication and information across the organization, just think of the huge benefits from a sales perspective and revenue perspective to the organization. So one of the ways that we can focus and achieve this objective of closing more business and providing a better experience is through robotic process automation, or RPA. So what RPA is it's a software solution that integrates into our business environment and simulates those employee actions. So having to enter call notes, meeting notes, information into the CRM is something that we could look to automate. Actually extracting information out of the CRM or other systems that we have access to internally, where maybe it's ERP, maybe it's a contact database, something like Zoom Info, if we're using that, or SalesLoft, Outreach, etc., to then compile reports and analyze and identify what are our top reps and the A players doing differently that we can train our B and C players on to elevate them and impact the business. And with sales too, it's so cross-functional across the organization that RPA fits so well. So as long as the process can be mapped and repeatable, we can look to automate that. And from a sales perspective as well, we can start to think about all the different other tentacles that our sales team is maybe involved with or needs information from. Thinking about the war on talent with the Great Resignation or the Great Reshuffling going on right now, it's top of mind and very tough for organizations to find those field sellers, account executives to come in. So if we start looking at, hey, from an HR and talent acquisition perspective, how can we streamline that onboarding process, providing that great experience for prospective employees, and use that to our competitive advantage to land more A players, to then help them close more business, get them onboarded more quickly, have the setup, ready to go. That's a use case for RPA as well. Cross-functionally, and I'm sure Michael can kind of speak to this a little bit further from his own experience, but if we're in a manufacturing or order fulfillment business as well, is having sales and the operations supply chain team make sure that everything's flowing correctly, or at least we're communicating with our customers if there are delays within the supply chain or a support ticket issue. So really the opportunities are endless for automation from a sales perspective. Obviously, that can be hugely overwhelming to start asking yourself, okay, where should we get started? And we can help with that as well. And there's other tools available to us that we can provide and assist and help with the justification and identify, hey, is this a good place to start or not? But through our experience, these are some of the top use cases and lowest hanging fruits we see to get started with in most organizations. Obviously, we'll be focusing in here shortly on these sales topics of data management, lead qualification, order processing in terms of new customer setup, order fulfillment, burst reporting out, etc. But again, kind of cross-functionally and where sales just interacts across the entire business in many organizations, we can help, or automation can help with those functional areas as well. So let's get into, what does this maybe look like in a real life example? And again, kind of going back to my comment earlier, is organizations, you have your own unique selling process, cadence, industry information, and we can definitely tackle some of those bottlenecks that you and the team may be experiencing. But let's just kind of look at from the quoting process ultimately to when the organization gets paid, what this commonly looks like. And just from the quoting part, again, there's so many different touch points. The seller having to create the quote, email it out, then the customer or prospect providing a purchase order. Maybe there's an initial deposit that you have to receive before you can fulfill the order or ship it out, then collect payment on the rest of the invoicing, and ultimately, receive cash as the organization. And for sellers, sometimes this directly impacts their paycheck, which we know salespeople are motivated by. So being able to say, okay, if we can provide better insight and streamline this process overall so that our salespeople feel empowered, maybe we can change the compensation plan in terms of the payout to be maybe the following month versus having to wait a quarter, as an example. That's something that's going to help motivate, empower our sales team. And through automation, that now becomes possible instead of spending, several weeks, in some cases over a month going through that process. What if we could streamline that so it's just a few days, that our salesperson in Salesforce creates a quote that interacts obviously into systems, send it off via DocuSign, super streamlined, payments received and processed quickly, and ultimately we receive, cash right away. So again, just removing those bottlenecks and administrative tasks that we as sales leaders have to do, or our salespeople have to do, to allow our salespeople and sales team to get out in front of customers, be proactive, be closing business, and ultimately generating revenue, is where we see our clients succeed. And I think that's a great kind of transition right to a real life use case that I know Michael was deeply involved with. And not only what we've done with that, but kind of what's on the roadmap and the art of the possible, starting to think about things like AI, business data science as well in a real life sales capacity. So Michael, I'll turn it over to you here.
Yeah, I appreciate the setup, John. So I wanted to go through and share a story with one of our customers, which is Hearth and Home Technologies. I personally worked on this project and have been engaged with them for over a year now, helping support automation goals. This is actually the second project we worked on with them and was focused on their sales team. So Hearth and Home, just to give a little bit of backstory, sells primarily stoves and fireplaces to local retailers that we would go to actually purchase that. So you can think, your local Ashley Furniture store, that's who Hearth and Home is selling to. So the challenge that they really had in frustration was that they were doing these on-site visits to help support the sales cycle, right? Depending on the size of the client, going on site, having a quarterly, bi-yearly review, trying to obviously upsell, get more of their product in the store, and also do a health check-in on how the store is doing. And in order to support that on-site visit, they wanted to have data-driven conversations. So what they would do is go out to many of their platforms and pull data that was available. That's primarily going to be Salesforce.com for them, their CRM system. So in order to support this on-site visit, the first thing they would do is go to Salesforce, and they had a list of 26 different reports that they would need to pull for specifically that customer that they were going to see. Definitely a time-consuming task, taking hours, formatting these reports properly, doing any data cleanup that's necessary. And that was only one platform that they were having to go to do that. So on top of Salesforce, they were also leveraging Cognos Analytics. And they had 6 reports from there, primarily around their financials and also forecasting to help support those conversations. And another thing to note here is that a VPN was required to get in, which was annoying for the sales team to work around. And finally, the third platform that they were pulling reports from was IBM TM1. So there was 2 reports in there that they were also pulling from. So you can think anytime they want to go see a customer, they have over 30 different reports that they can pull. They have to go out and manually run for that customer, combine them into this merged PDF file. So you can think a team of 15 having multiple on-site visits every week. Maybe these reports take, we estimate, an hour to 2 hours to put together. You can see that this is a really time-consuming task for their sales team, and also not one that's very fun either. No one enjoyed doing this, and it started to have management question, is the sales team maybe not pulling all the reports that they would want to because of how long it takes? So that was kind of the struggle they had. And then it got worse when we got into COVID. So before they were doing these on-site visits and physically printing out these documents, taking them and having that data-driven conversation. When COVID happened, they had to transition and start making these, for some customers, in PDF form, and then other customers PowerPoint form. So now there was a change in the process. They're having to do different things for different customers based on their level of comfort of going on site to visit them and have these conversations. So they really looked for a way to solve this problem. And when they engaged us at eCapital, they said, we would love to have an easy button. We want to log into Salesforce. We want to hit one button on the customer, and we want all these reports to just feed to us so we can walk out the door, print it off, and go have that conversation with no friction. And that's essentially what we were able to build for them. So we took the same process that they're currently doing, except put a button in Salesforce working with their Salesforce developers. I'm going to go see this customer on Tuesday. Monday, I log into Salesforce. I go to the customer. I hit that easy button. And then within 15 to 20 minutes, I have all those reports emailed to me in both a merged PDF document and also a PowerPoint. We generate both for every single case. So with that, they're able to streamline this and they don't have to deal with all that annoying work. And something to highlight too, right? Not just the time save, is the convenience. I've had sales members from this team say, it's so great now that I can, from my phone on the road when I'm visiting customers, log in, not have to use a VPN, hit that easy button, and then it gets emailed to me within 20 minutes. And I can continue having my conversations. Maybe there's a customer on the fly I want to go visit. Now I can just pull it from my phone, have that email come, and continue on with my day with no friction. So that's kind of the setup. A common use case that we see is just getting after data from disconnected systems. And I think this is a really great example of it and really supporting the sales team. So with that, just to summarize, John, if you want to go to the next slide, we developed this automation working really closely with the sales team over a span of 6 months, working with their Salesforce developers, really getting into the weeds of how they want to consume this data. Estimating that per on-site visit, we're saving 1 to 2 hours of their employees' time. And again, 15 plus sales reps doing multiple on-site visits a week, hundreds of hours over the year, and really seeing that ROI quickly. And this has actually been expanded upon. I know I said 26 reports. They actually have over 70 reports now, and they're only able to really support that because they have this easy button. They can never tell their sales reps, oh, now you have 70 reports and you have to decide which ones to pull and do it manually. Now they can support that level of granularity for all their customers. And then finally, as John was saying, looking forward, now that we have this platform built, now that we're continuing to add more reports to it, what else can be done? And I think that that's something that we always try to focus on, is what's that next step? How do we get more value from the investment? And that was teaming up with our business data science team and taking a look at, now that we have the connections to all your data sources, what new insights can we grab from it? What type of machine learning or AI can we do to dynamically find where we can add value? And for example, something that we were looking at in the data, we found that the most successful sales reps actually had longer sales cycle times and higher closure rates. So trying to use business data science to identify those best practices. What's working on the sales team? How can we use this data to change our sales process and improve? Or another example is getting into predictive and looking at where should we focus our efforts, right? Based on all the data we have, where's our next opportunity? Is it by region? Is it by customer type? How can we know where to target our sales efforts with the highest probability of success? John, did I touch on everything? You're the sales expert. Those are just some of the ideas I know we came up with for a future state that we're trying to work with them now on.
Yeah, no, Michael, I think you hit on the main points, and I think just to add a little more color for the group to, you know, how automation can pull data from several different systems that an organization may have internally, or access to industry information as well. To Michael's point, it's thinking about how can we better reallocate the sales team too. So just naturally having access now to better information more quickly and be able to see the differences between the A players on the team, you know, B players, and just be naturally curious about the business to say, hey, what is, you know, Michael doing differently than John and Dokkan? How can we clone Michael, if you will, and teach the rest of the team with what Michael's seeing success with? And also just naturally asking those curious questions again about the business to start thinking about if we're geographically, you know, situated as a sales go-to-market perspective, why is Minneapolis performing better than Chicago, Atlanta, San Francisco? Like, what are those attributes? What's not working, but maybe more importantly, what is working, and how do we then disperse that information across the entire team? And that's something, you know, obviously future down the road, but just starting with these initial reports and alleviating that preparation work that salespeople and sales leaders know the team needs to do, but it's not something that gets necessarily prioritized all the time. With that easy button and then gathering all that information, obviously a huge impact to the business. So I think there's just so many different applications based on how you and your sales team are set up in your go-to-market strategy that could touch on this as well, you know, from a lead qualification even standpoint as well. Who are our best customers? What else should we be talking to them about? How does that apply to our prospects as well? So without kind of further ado, and maybe seeing some real life automations of, hey, what could this look like, you know, for us? Let's get to the walkthrough. So Dokkan, I'll go ahead and stop sharing and turn it over to you.
Thank you, John. So what I want to do is actually kind of have a detailed look of what automation looks like. What is the tool? How do we automate? Because it is not simply just like black box that we don't know what's doing, but we can actually understand it and incorporate it to our daily lives. So with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen. So what you see on my screen is Automation Anywhere. It is an RPA tool that we use. There are many out there. And the best way to put it is the RPA tools are your digital workers. So think of it, your digital assistant that doesn't get tired and can do any task that you tell them to do. So it is a simple URL page that we go to. Here, there's so many settings that you can change, from managing the devices to schedules and the process discoveries. But the bread and butter happens under this automation tab. So if you go into click this automation tab, you see all these bots and folders, and these are all the tasks that you ask your digital worker to complete. And I want to show how easy it is to use this tool. It does not require a computer science degree, but it is simply how you can mimic and replicate your actions every day and have your digital assistant do it for you. So let's go ahead and click Create a Bot. This will pop up a page for you to create a task for your digital assistant. Let's say sales webinar build out. This will create and open up this page. And as you can see, we have this clean page that and have actions on the side. And one of the greatest benefits of RPA tools is these are no code, low code. So what that means is these are actions that is just drag and drop. So you can see there's so many detailed things happening here. But let's go with something basic, right? And the most often use case that we see is like engaging with Excel, because Excel is everyone's like day-to-day activity. We are doing so many things on that. Let's try to automate something on Excel. So here I have a simple Excel worksheet, right? Here there's like inventory data with some information here. And I have a quick macro that simply just sorts this sheet, right? I click this, it will sort the sheet. I'm sure some of us have these macros that we need to run that we come in every day, click, and it takes 20 minutes, and you go grab a cup of coffee, but it is something that can be automated. You don't need to go there and click every day and wait for it. It can be done before even you start your day. And let's say I want to open this sheet, run this macro from the automation tab, and I want to notify it after it's done. So let's close this sheet, go to automation, right? Where do we start? Well, it is simply, what do you do in your day-to-day life? Well, you would open the Excel spreadsheet. So I will just type open. And here it will filter out. And here you can see Excel Advanced. So I will just click that, open Excel, drag and drop, fairly easy, and it will show up here. And on the settings part here on the side, I will pick which file do I want to open it. Okay, let's click desktop file. And this, when I click browse, will take over my computer and prompt me to select a file. So here I can go to my desktop, click run my macro. And what this will do is simply just go ahead and open that Excel. But here there's another setting that we need to set is create an Excel session, because the bot can be interacting with so many Excel worksheets at the same time. So I will simply put default here. So if I click save and then just click run, the bot will deploy my computer and just open up the Excel page. So it will download dependencies, run the bot, simply just open the Excel spreadsheet. And then it will say that your bot has run successfully. Okay, let's add something more. Let's run the macro that we wanted. So I will simply type run macro. And here, Excel Advanced, run macro. I'll click that, and it will ask for the macro name. Let's type source, because that was the macro that I want to run, and it's going to ask the session name, which was the default that I put, and save. So if I click run again, what it's going to do is open up that Excel page and run the macro. And see, the page is sorted out by the expiration date. And again, this is a very simple macro, but imagine this being something that takes 20 minutes of your day. It is something that you need to do every morning before you can actually tackle the items that require attention. Imagine the bot that can do this 4 in the morning, ready for you to go in the morning. But let's take a bit more, because this is simple Excel macro, that data was already there. And most of the days we're grabbing data from somewhere else and engaging with throughout. Here I have another macro called clear. So when I run it, it will just simply clear the data, right? Let's assume this data actually came from a website. Here we have the data on a website just sitting on a table, and I want to grab this data, put in that Excel spreadsheet, and sort it, run the macro, and then email it out. So let's give it a try. So just to prove, I will open the Excel. Let's run another macro, and clear it, right? So we know the Excel spreadsheet will be clear. And then I want to just have the bot go to page, grab the data, put in the Excel spreadsheet, and then run the macro. But how do I do that? How do I make the bot mimic me and go ahead, do things? Well, again, the same questions. How do you do it on your day-to-day life? Well, the first thing is you open up the browser, right? So I will just type open. And here, open underneath browser, simple drag and drop. It will ask what to open. Let's say new window. And it will ask which browser to use. Google Chrome. What link do you want to use? We want to use this link. Go, paste it here. It's going to ask how long it wants us to wait. So if I close this tab and run it, it will have the web page open. First, it will open the Excel spreadsheet, sort it, clear it, then open the browser.
So while that's running, just to kind of relate it back to maybe a common sales use case of sales leader or an individual contributor maybe is using Excel to look at their activities from the last day, the last week, or customer attributes. And so they're looking to, refresh it. So you open it, you sort it how you did, clear it out, and then pull a new report out of your CRM, just as an example.
Yeah, thank you, John. And again, we open the web page, but we notice we actually signed out. And we can't have the web page signed in all the time. And we want our digital assistant go and sign in on our behalf, grab the data. And normally, how would you do this? You'll put your email address and enter your password and then grab the data. We can actually mimic that exactly the way you're doing. Automation Anywhere, there's a great feature called Universal Recorder. That will allow you to mimic your actions and keep track of exactly what you're doing on a screen. So it is this little camera button here. If I click, it will take over my computer and it will ask which web page or which window that I want to interact. Here, I will select that the web page that I was working on, log into continue, right? The one that asked me to sign in. And I'll click Universal Recorder and it will just prompt that window. And if I just move my mouse around this page, you will see that the little red line around certain items, it is the bot picking up the elements. It is detecting the buttons, the things that we can enter, and the way we can engage and interact with this page. Here, I will just put email address and I will type Michael's email here. There's 2 C's here. And then I'll click continue. And it will ask for password. And just for this, I will just type passwords because Michael probably does not want to share his password. And I'll click login, right? And while all this is happening, it is recording my actions, right? So here I will click finish. And when we go here, it actually filled out all those things that I was doing. So here, when we go take a look at step 5, it actually kept track of exactly what I was doing. All the keystrokes, all the mouse movements. And here you can see it even tracked how I misspelled it and I had to change it and go back. So what I'm going to do is just simply select all and correct it. And save it. So this is simply telling the bot, go to that button and put into this email address and simulate a human keystroke. If I make this 0, the bot will just type out incredibly fast, but I want to mimic a human action. And then it will click continue. And then it's going to ask set password in this, the password section, right? Here, you can see that I type password, but we actually want to enter this website, and I actually need Michael's password. But it is really difficult to be sharing passwords between everyone, and there should be a more secure way to manage this. And thanks to Automation Anywhere, we have this exact tool where you can set credential. Here, if I select credentials, there are roles that you can pick and choose and access passwords. Here, if I click pick, it will prompt me to pick a locker. So here I will click the Confluence locker, and then it will ask me to get credential, Confluence. And what do I want to pick? I want to get the password. And if I click that, confirm, now I told the bot to enter the password that Michael shared with me without actually having to share the password with me. Click save, and then the bot will go ahead and log in. So let's go close this page and see if the bot will do exactly what told him to do. Close this spreadsheet too, and then let's run the bot. Again, the bot will deploy my computer, so it will simply take over my action items. It will open the Excel spreadsheet, sort it, cleared it, open the browser, and then it will type out the email. Click continue, wait it, and it will enter the password, and click login. So great, we actually got into the system. So what we want to do is actually grab this data. Again, I will go back, click Universal Recorder again. It will prompt me to select a page. I will select inventory data here and click Universal Recorder. And again, if I move my mouse around, it will pick up different elements. It will pick these quantities, side things happening here. But what I want is actually get this entire table. So I will just roam around to get the full data. Let's wait for it to pick up because it's picking up different elements here. Let's go ahead, wait for this. Just hovering around for it to detect the table. So let's grab actually one simple thing here. And if I click finish, it can allow us to grab this. It's actually detecting table. Let's say get table. And I'm asking this to get the entire table, right? If I click save, what I want to do next is I want to just put it all back here. And what I do is simply write into Excel file. So if I type write, it will prompt Excel that write from data table to Excel. But now I want to pick which data table. Well, I didn't save it to somewhere. So I need to go back here and select down here where to save it. So if I create a variable, use capture data table, write it here, save it, and then go back here, enter the data variable, capture data, write an active worksheet, and first cell to write, let's type it A1, and which session? The session that we just opened now. So if we run this, you'll ask the bot to open the Excel, sort it, clear it, go to the browser, get the data, and of course, before signing in, then write it back to Excel page. So let's close this as well. Let's run how the bot is doing. And each time the bot is actually taking over my computer, opening things, sorting it, clearing it. Again, open the web page. Oh, it will actually wait because now it's expecting to sign in when it's actually signed out. So I will simply pause it here, sign out, and have the bot do its thing before. Let's pause the bot here on the page real quick. So let's go back to page. Let's quickly log out. Going back here. Get logged out. Let's close this again. And when we restart the bot, now the bot will expect to sign in. Again, it will do the same thing, open the spreadsheet, sort it, clear it, and open the web page, wait for the login, enter the email address, wait for data, capture it, and push it back to the worksheet. And if you go back, now we can see it actually grabbed that data, just put it all into Excel spreadsheet. And again, we can run that macro again, email it out, and practically do all these before we start even our day. But again, this is just to show how easy to build out on your own under like 15 minutes. But yeah, let's go with like a more sales-oriented example that we want to work on.
Yeah, I was just gonna add real quick. As we're going through this, we want to show how quickly you can throw some of this together without needing programming knowledge. But think about in your day, right? What are some of these tasks happening on a daily, weekly basis, interacting with some systems just repeatedly? RPA is great because it supports any website you go to, any Excel document you're looking at. So just try to think about what some of those tasks are in your day.
So here I have an license expiration data, right? Let's assume this is the data that you pulled from your CRM, and it's simply some client names, their industries, their software package, and their license expiration, right? So every day, what you would love to have is an email just notifying you when they're expiring. And a notification of those are written expiring within 30 days, 90 days, 6 months. And let's see if we have a template like this. So imagine that you have an empty Excel spreadsheet like this with different tabs expiring 90, 30, 180, and in a year. What we would love the bot to do is go into this Excel spreadsheet, take a look at this data that it might be getting from your CRM or running a macro to refresh it, and then put it here under different tabs, then emailing it out to you. And imagine having this every day. Every morning, you can check your inbox and there's a new email sitting with just separation of like different things that you need to do and just keeping you on a line, keeping you just to keep making sure that everything is on track. You're reaching to your clients on the spot as needed. And again, if we take a look at the code for that, it's actually not that long. Of course, it will take slightly more time to build it, but it is simply doable under an hour. And when you see this task might take someone maybe an hour of their day, just going to that spreadsheet that they're grabbing from their CRM, sorting the date, then putting in different tabs, then maybe saving it somewhere else. But the bot will do that under a few seconds. So if we run this, again, the bot will take over my computer. It's going to open some spreadsheets and close it, do different things, and then it's done before I even know. So let's take a look at what the bot actually did. If I go back to my email, there's already a new email waiting for me. And it says, please review the attached file and contact clients with expiring licenses. So if I open this output, now that Excel spreadsheet is sorted out with different clients, with different expiration dates, and it can run it every day. It can run every day, split them into different categories, and let you know when you need to contact them. And maybe you can even want to take it to the next step. You want to email the clients. You want to let them know and send notifications when their license expires. And again, when you have a digital worker that doesn't get tired, can move a lot faster than you do, the possibilities are endless. It is more so just coming up with the idea and deciding how you want the bot to help you on your day-to-day life. So with that, I will just open the floor for questions, any points that we can clarify, or any other thing that you want to ask the team.
We'll continue to monitor the Q&A and any chats that come through. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's discussion and presentation. We do have several other upcoming meetups here in the coming weeks and months as well. I alluded to earlier an HR and talent acquisition webinar in session looking at mid-June as well. So for any updates to any and all of our upcoming events, whether virtual or in person across the US, feel free to check out our website and the event section. If you did have questions or want to chat offline for a more personal approach and discussion, we're obviously happy to do so. Appreciate everyone's time, and we'll hang out if there's any questions or Q&A things that come through. But again, appreciate everyone's time and joining us here today.